This is the Happiness Breakthrough Show with your host, Becky and Dr. Mark Leonard. One of the things that's been really interesting to me are those moments in life where everything is going really, really well. And all of a sudden, someone cuts you off and you get frustrated. Or, oh, I saw this video the other day, and I don't think I have ever related so much to a video with a guy trying to get into a car, and he gets in and he spills his drink. And then he hits his head on the door, and then he goes to put on the seatbelt and it just goes clink, and he's stuck, and he sat there, and the next thing you know, he's like pulling, pull on the seatbelt, and of course it didn't give, right?
No.
And
this sounds familiar.
You're just watching this guy get super, super frustrated, and you almost wonder, it's like, what next? It's a train wreck.
Yes. And have you ever noticed that the worse it gets, the worse it gets because of you?
It just keeps getting worse.
But because of you. Like, it may have started with something that's completely innocuous, but the worse it gets, the more frustrated you get. And then the more you react, and then it just is like a nosedive into curse words if you're a cursing woman. If you've watched Ramona, what's that movie?
Ramona and Beezus, is that what it was?
Yes. Then it would be guts.
And it doesn't matter. These types of events seem to happen one of two times during the day. Either you're late in trying to get to work.
Well, that was yes.
Right.
Of course.
Or you've had a great day, and as you're going home or as you get home, all of a sudden everything spins out of control, and you're just starting to feel like, man, my day is totally ruined. And I watch a lot of people, including myself. I know I did this a lot more before I started practicing some tools to really help my mindset. But there were times in my life that if it happened later in the day, I would start to say things like, oh, this day's terrible. This day sucks. It's 8 o'clock at night. What do you mean the day sucks?
Right. Because you had a few incidents later in the day, all of a sudden it's made the whole day terrible.
Yes.
Even if it wasn't terrible.
As if 6 seconds of a day
yes,
can destroy everything.
But then if it happens in the morning, oh, heaven help us all.
Oh.
Because then your whole day does suck. For some reason, you're like, I should have just gone back to bed.
And you know what happens? Those thoughts, the trash thoughts or the toilet thoughts, right? The potty,
we tried to decide which word was going to be the best word for this, because trashy thoughts is really not the connotation we want here. But trash thoughts, but then he said a potty mind, but I thought he said with a D, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So I don't know, maybe you can weigh in on which one we want to call it.
So I think the best way to describe it is, and you have to say it with a proper accent, potty mouth. Wait, no, potty thoughts.
Potty thoughts?
I've got potty thoughts. And so
those just like terrible, weigh you down. You're just in a bad place. You're telling yourself all the bad things, and life is just stinks, and everybody's out to get you.
And then you go to the bathroom and you go to wash your hands in one of those touchless sinks.
And it doesn't turn on.
And it doesn't turn on.
Like this.
And you just start, you get more and more agitated, like, just let me wash my hands for the love. It's so funny because I think we've all been there. We've all had those moments. But the question I have is, great, if everyone has those moments, why is it or how is it that some people can just bounce back and have it not have that 6 seconds, 60 seconds, even the 6 minutes? Oh, wow. Oh, that was interesting. That was a little 666 theme, because these are evil thoughts. Satan
is out to get us.
Yeah.
Could it be?
Could it be Satan? So why is it, or how is it, that some people can have these public bathroom non-sync working moments, or what's worse, the sink works and it's like nothing but a turbojet
Yes.
and it gets your pants wet and you're walking out going, great, I'm an adult and it looks like I just peed my pants.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I may or may not have had that, which reminds me, in our store, we need to change that faucet. It does that.
P.S.
Yes. So,
Happened to me in my own establishment. It's fine.
so we need to change that so that we limit those things. But it's so fascinating to me that people have a moment like this and it totally, completely destroys their life. And I will even admit that there were days in my, I'll call it my previous life, where that happened a lot.
Is this like a past life moment?
Yes. Yeah.
In my previous life, my post happiness dude life.
When I come back, I want to come back as a happy, optimistic guy. Wait, I'm that now.
You are that.
I am that.
You can change. That's the point. Is that when he says my past life, he's saying, I've had those struggles too. Guess what? We all have. And we're going to talk mindset today, but we're not going to take the usual approach because everybody's talking about mindset. And
So get your finger off the fast forward button. We're not going to approach mindset like everyone else is, because right now it seems to be the buzzword.
it is the buzzword, and for good reason. And I'm glad that it's a buzzword because we do need to focus a lot more on you have the power to change what you're thinking about. And you have the power to put yourself in a different place. It's a good thing, but we don't want to talk about what everybody else is talking about.
We're going to give you some of the tools that we utilize and some strategies that we have used to change that potty thought, or those, yes, I said it with a T.
But you didn't do the
Oh,
accent.
sorry. We are going to address how to adjust and change out of those potty thoughts. and things that we've done, and also things that I have coached and you've coached with our clients that really helped them to veer out, because we're all going to have those moments.
Mhm.
I just had this thought, and I remember when I was going to flight school, and we had the coolest chair. It's called a Barney chair. And I will tell you the
Barney
story,
chair.
the Barney chair. And it was the coolest chair because you would sit in this chair and then you put on these goggles that you could only, it looks like you're looking at the instrument panel. And then you would have the room completely silent, and the professor or the flight instructor, and I was doing it through college, so it was a professor, he would spin you in this chair until you get what's called the leans, and your body begins to adjust and not realize that you're spinning in a circle. And so the hairs in your ear begin to lay down, and once he begins to see some of the evidence of that in your reactions, he'll slowly stop the chair. When he stops it, your body thinks that you're still moving, and so you'll fall. Now, this flight instructor thought it was very funny to feed us a very large lunch right beforehand.
Oh, stop. That's cruel.
Do you know I have had trouble with Cool Ranch Doritos ever since? I think this is what it goes back to. But it's interesting because when you're spinning out of control in a plane, and later we actually did it in a plane, and we put ourselves into an intentional spin, how did we get out of that spin? And it's called a death spiral. But we do it all the time in business, in life, in family. We go into this death spiral, and there's only one way to get out of it in a plane. Luckily, there's lots of ways to get out of it. As a human, we have a lot more tools than just a plane. In a plane, secret, hard right rudder, as hard as you can until you start to cramp. And boy, do you cramp because you're pushing so hard, but it'll reverse it out and you'll fly right back out of it. Of course, now I'm questioning, was it right rudder or left rudder?
Don't take our word for it, just in case you wanted to try that out.
Yes. our lawyers are like, disclaimer, don't tell them. They give a flight.
Wrong information. Don't try it.
I am not a certified flight instructor. So for those of you that are listening in, please
don't try this at home.
do not try that one at home.
Babe, that is a really good analogy though. It's really awesome. I just love that thought that your brain is telling you one thing, but it's false.
It's completely false. So
yes,
how can we get out of that flat spin in life? And
the death spiral. You get out of the death spiral?
So we had a great conversation with some of our adult children today. Do you want to share what you asked them and how they answered? Because I thought this was really good.
Okay. I want to preface this by saying that our children grew up in a very religious home where we don't drink, we don't smoke. We're pretty particular about that. And our adult children have decided how they want to live their adult life, and that's just fine. But we happen to use quite a bit of humor in our home to handle hard situations. So I get in the car. Mark and I are talking about what we want to discuss on this podcast. And I asked two of my adult kids, hey, how do you think, when you look at your dad and I, what would you say that we've taught you about
how to get out of that mindset death spiral?
Right. And our son said, have a few beers. And I gave him
gave him the mom look.
I did give him that mom look. So then I gave him a hard time about how that wasn't healthy. And he's like, or some nicotine. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? And then we're driving along in the car and talking, and he's like, or a big steak. And I'm all, let me get this straight. You're saying that the way to fix your mindset is alcohol, nicotine, and a steak? And he's like, yeah. You have to know us, that he's like, I'm just teasing you, Mom. But then his comment was, yeah, we handle hard situations in this family through humor. I had never heard the term dark humor until a year ago, as we were sitting talking about a really rough situation in our family and finding things to laugh about. And one of my daughters said, that's dark humor, right? It's like, I had never really thought that. But the point is that finding things to laugh about is appropriate. It keeps, I either say you're going to laugh or you're going to cry, and I'd rather laugh.
Absolutely. So when we were in our own store and I was washing my hands and the water came out like a laser pick at the dentist, and I'm trying to wash and it gets all over the front of me, I literally was in the restroom by myself laughing out loud. I was like, this is amazing. Of course this would happen right now. Of course this too. And just started laughing about it.
Know the appropriate people to have that humor with. Let's just say that. Pick your crowd appropriately, because people might think you're really insane.
Have you ever gotten ready to say something and your wife looks at you with laser eyes from across the room, 138 feet away, and she gently nods her head no? And the next thing you know,
it's coming out of your mouth anyway.
You're going to say it. You're just going to say it. And I had that happen up on the pulpit that time, and you were just shaking your head like, please don't say that.
Yes.
Yeah. But
yes.
But having opportunity to laugh at the situation, laugh at yourself. Going back to that guy that was getting into his car and he hit his head, spilled his drink, seatbelt. Like, the only thing you can do is either scream like crazy or
laugh.
You just laugh.
Literally put yourself in the position of the person that's on the outside looking in at what it's looking like in your situation right now, and then laugh at yourself.
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
And we've had to do that because we've had some interesting situations that you can't do anything but go, wow, if somebody was seeing this whole thing right now,
They would laugh. They would laugh.
it's like a good British comedy.
Which we are watching a lot of right
It's
now.
like Mr. Bean or something where you're like, you just gotta laugh.
Because why spend the time going down this rabbit hole of negativity, frustration, anger? All of a sudden, your blood pressure is going up. You feel yourself maybe getting dizzy. You feel your vision changing. You may actually get to the point that you can't think straight, that you're then becoming reactionary.
Mhm.
And as soon as you begin to laugh, you're breaking the cycle.
Yes.
And
And you're still releasing emotion.
I think that's really important,
Yeah.
is to release that emotion. So tool number one is find the humor.
Find the humor.
Everything, even if it's dark humor, choose your audience wisely.
Don't take yourself seriously.
I think that's really important, not to take yourself seriously.
Mark and I tease each other all the time. And I love that about our marriage, that we can, in a joking manner, call each other on our flaws. But we do it in a way that we know, like, I love you. And I'm not actually judging you. We're just having a funny moment right now, right? I just think it's healthy.
I think it's one of the great things about marrying an older, wiser woman.
Oh, you are rotten.
She's 39ish.
Thank you.
So have humor about have humor about things. I think that is super, super important to do. I think another tool is I saw someone today online, I think it was on Instagram, and they said, today is the day that you draw the line in the sand. And I think they were really serious about it. And then I started thinking, I used to live by the beach, and anything you draw in the sand erodes with the very next coming in and out. And I thought, okay, that's a really interesting concept. This guy does not live in the beach or near the beach.
So he doesn't understand that concept.
So he may not understand the concept of drawing the line in the sand, but I think it is important to draw lines in our life. And the one that I love to use is above the line and below the line. I believe that this idea originated with the concept of conscientious leadership. And it has to do with this principle and this idea of when you're dealing with people or situations, I'll take it from the psychological perspective here. You would go either above the line, you try to think positive thoughts, you try to, look for solutions. But you were saying a minute ago, sometimes you just have these raw emotions tied to the event.
Yeah. Yeah. And our belief is it's important for you to feel those feels, to be able to recognize that life is hard, to be able to call it for what it is, to be able to acknowledge the hard thing. It's a part of that grieving process. Some people go through that quickly, some people it takes a little bit longer. But I love this idea of above and below the line. And we've actually talked about it in our own family a lot. Mark's coached on it a lot. That it's this concept that it's okay for you to acknowledge the hard and even complain. Above the line is I'm going to get past it, right? Below the line would be I'm going to kind of sit in this a little bit. I'm going to do the complaining. I'm going to do the raw emotion.
But I think there's a really important tool when you go below the line. I've seen too often in business meetings that people will begin to go below the line. And when they do, it begins to erode the culture. It begins to erode trust, teamwork, communication, because people are moving to a below the line, negative, griping, complaining, name calling, pointing ideology.
Right.
And that doesn't solve anything. However, it's sometimes really important to go below the line and get it out. I guess you could almost say it is the adult equivalent to when you're a kid going to your room and screaming into a pillow.
Yes. Yes. Let it out. We used to tell our kids that. Go to your room. You can have a good cry. All of these emotions you're feeling, just like go have your moment. And when you're ready to talk about it, then come back and we're here for you.
Absolutely. So when you go below the line, one of the strategies I love to pick is if Becky and I were going to go below the line, we would say, let's set a timer. How long? How long should we go below the line?
Right. Or when do we need to cut it off, maybe?
Yeah.
Like if it's gone longer than X amount of time. I feel like we use that more. I feel like we used to use that more than we do now. And maybe that's because we've utilized the strategy enough that above and below the line is more like a process for us instead of an amount of time.
Well, I loved what our daughter said when we went out to dinner. We were asking the question about, okay, when you see mom and dad really have a difficult mindset day, we have a lot of difficulties. And she said, something that we do is we talk it out.
Mm-hmm.
And we really do. We will talk for a very long time. And whenever one of us begins to go to a complaining, we will either ask permission, say, is it okay if I go below the line or if I complain here for a little bit? Because you don't want to just be that complainer that brings everyone down. The other thing that we do is if we're not doing that, but the other person catches that you're going below the line. And again, I love this because you and I have been practicing this for so many years. We'll call each other out on it and say, is that what you want to be thinking right now?
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe it is. And there's been times it's like, yes, this is what I want to be thinking right now. And then you begin to catch and process it and go, and I'm coming up with solutions in just a minute, but let me just get this out.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, you guys, this is a process. And there's some hard things that you go through in life that is not going to happen overnight. And you might go above and below the line for a while as you process, as you grieve, as you deal with these really heavy emotions that you're going through. But part of that coming back above the line is we may talk about the things that are really difficult and we may do some complaining, but then we turn it around and this is your step 3. But what role do I play in this? And how can I show up as a better person? To your point of what you said, that is this what you want to be thinking right now? We ask, how does this look for us? What role do we play? How can we reframe this? How can we do better in order to not have this type of situation again?
It's being self-aware of how our thoughts are dictating our emotions. Mm-hmm. And I think that's another thing that we have been practicing is recognizing what emotions we want to have around a particular situation. Maybe it's an employee. For those of you that are just listening to us, we have 35 employees. Most of them are teenagers. And
sometimes you got to go below the line.
Not on them.
Not on them. I didn't mean that. That was not what I'm saying is Becky. When Mark and I are talking, not to our employees, when Mark and I are talking about something that's really frustrating to us, there needs to be some acknowledgement of this is hard. You guys, they're teenagers. They're still learning. And we love them. They are amazing human beings that we are getting to help teach and develop their adult lifing skills, but they're still teenagers. And sometimes the repetitive nature of having to reteach something over and over again, or you've taught something and then it's, well, you never taught me that. And you want to facepalm, right? There are times as employers where you really need to be able to acknowledge the hard.
And it's okay. So one of the strategies that I utilize is before I go talk to an employee, maybe they got in trouble or maybe we need to do some more training. If I'm really frustrated, I make sure I air it out with Becky first.
Yes.
Because
same for both of us.
We don't want to go in to our employees angry, frustrated. Again, as a teenager, for many of them, this is their very first job. And They don't know. And just because we have 30 years of experience on them, plus, which is impressive since you're 39-ish, you were young slave labor. So I just put that math together. Wow. So, one of the things that we want to do is recognize that they're young in their career. Just because we know doesn't mean that they know. So then becoming very self-aware of what was my role. And I love that where you're going with this, asking ourselves, what part did I play? If we communicated it, did we communicate it in the way that they understood?
Mm-hmm.
Did we use the words like Yeezy? I have no idea what that means. It's probably not even a word that they use anymore.
Did I
Bruh.
Yeah, did I use bruh?
Bruh. The amount of times we've been called bruh at work is
Oh
so
gosh,
funny.
I think that I don't even recognize it happens anymore because it's happened so much. But it's really true that we air it out between us first. We really do talk it out. And we're open to correction. We were sitting at dinner tonight with our 2 adult children, and I asked them, what do you think we are not doing correctly in order to be able to be getting this type of situation over and over again, where our employees are not doing all of the things that are expected of them. And we're sitting in a restaurant where all the other employees are doing it, what's expected of them. I'm watching these employees at a restaurant and I'm thinking, okay, what can I do better in order to get a better situation? And I was open to hearing the feedback that my kids could give me from the outside perspective on how that could be better. So being open to that feedback is a really important part of changing your mindset, is asking yourself and then asking other people.
It's vital to step back and step out of the emotion of the, what did I call it? Potty thoughts.
Potty thoughts?
It's really important for you to step back, because if it is going to be a trash thought, or if it's going to be a potty thought, then you need to do what you do with those things. You flush it, you throw it away. You don't sit there and dwell with it.
Yep.
And that's the important thing, is too often we allow ourselves to be enraptured by the emotion of the negativity. If you're going to be hanging out with trash and you're going to be hanging out in the potty, then you're going to get what those things produce.
Yes.
So acknowledge it, live with it, be willing to go below the line, and then start moving above it. Have humor around it, and sometimes you just need to dance it out. Hey, my friends, just hopping in here to remind you to take the Best Life Assessment. Isn't it true we all want to create an incredible life, our dream life? We've had goals and aspirations, and yet there's just something that continues to stop us or limit us or frustrate us in our path towards excellence. That's why we created the Best Life Assessment. Go take that at thehappinessbreakthrough.com/best life, and you will get a personalized report on areas that you're doing well and what you can do to improve upon, and also give you some tools and tips to really help you break through those barriers that are holding you back. So again, thehappinessbreakthrough.com/best life.
I have the best story for you.
Oh no.
I have the best story for you. This is Mark and I and our relationship to a T. We'd just gotten back from a leadership conference with Brendan Bouchard, and it was a really great conference. And Brendan does this thing when he comes out on stage. He always has this dance that he does to the same song every single time. And it's really uplifting and catchy, and it just like gets everybody moving, and he builds the energy in the room. He's a master at that. Well, we get back from this conference and Mark's just having one of those days. But it was a spiral day for sure. And as I was thinking about Mark and what I could do to help him to get out of this place that he was in, I was like, I know what he needs. He just needs his own theme song. But he doesn't have his own theme song yet. So we're going to borrow Brendan's. And so I kept Mark and I'm like, I got an idea for you. I'm like, are you with me? And
Begrudgingly, I said yes.
it's 33 years of marriage. We're almost there. 33.
I'm almost house trained? What do you mean we're almost? Oh, there.
33 years. We're
Okay.
2 weeks away
Yes.
from 33 years.
Got it.
So in 33 years of marriage, if I say, are you in? He's pretty much, yeah, I'm in because
Why not?
why not?
I'm an adventurer.
So I told him, okay, I want you to go in the other room. And then I'm going to put on the music and I want you to come out dancing and I want you to feel it and I want you to build the energy. And he's like, what are you talking about?
I don't dance. Not just a great country song, but I do not dance.
No.
You were too quick to agree with me.
And you said that your whole marriage. I'm agreeing with what you're saying. I'm not agreeing that you can dance or not dance. I'm just saying he doesn't dance. He doesn't like to dance. But I'm like, you're going to come out here like you're Brendan. This is in our own home. Nobody's around. I put on, what song was that?
I don't. This is amazing.
That's all I got.
I don't know. Keep going. There's a singer.
But I put on a Google Home and I turn it up as loud as it can go. And then there's like an intro and I start clapping and I'm like to the beat. Come on. And then it like gets to the point and I'm like, and here's Mark Leonard. And he comes out from our bedroom into the kitchen and he's like jumping up and down and he's clapping just like Brendan. Brendan, I hope you're hearing this because this is a good one. And he gets around the island. We have a huge island. It's 7 or 8 feet. It's this huge island.
But yeah.
He's like jumping as he's going down the length of the island and he like rounds the corner and all of a sudden he like goes down.
Pop.
And he's like, my ankle. And I being the dutifully cheerleader wife that I am, I'm like, keep going. You got this. So he's hopping on one foot and he's still clapping until the end of the song. And then he collapsed onto the couch and was like, oh my gosh, I just think I killed my ankle. And he did. It was like,
It was a pretty good sprain.
Yeah, he was hobbling for a couple of weeks. But we changed the energy, dang it.
But we changed the energy.
Even with a sprained ankle, he had a better mindset.
So bring new life and energy and emotion into the event, whatever it is that is causing you to feel that angst, that frustration, the overwhelm, the stress, that feeling of I can't do it or defeat, right? All of these things that so many people, including us, have felt over and over and over again in our lives. Like, I just don't know if I can go another day. I just don't know if it's going to be worth it. Maybe we just throw in the towel. Maybe this pipe dream was just not, maybe it was just smoke. And, we've had those moments. But when you have that is a sure sign that you have got to find the humor. You have got to talk it out and then bring massive energy into it. Even if you don't want to, or even if you end up spraining an ankle, please don't do that. Lawyers are saying, please don't take that.
Don't do that.
So this podcast is not trying to harm you.
No.
We don't want you to be in a plane accident or sprain your ankle, but we do want you to bring energy back into your life.
I go back to what you said at the beginning about how there was an answer for getting out of, what did you call that?
The death spiral.
There's an answer for getting out of the death spiral, which is a hard right or hard left.
It's one of those.
One of those, right? But there is the answer.
Fact check me.
Check. But I feel like there is one answer to changing your mindset. Just like there's one answer.
Okay, what is it?
A death spiral. There's one answer to a death spiral in a plane. There's one answer to a death spiral with your mindset. The death spiral for your mindset it's your choice. You have the agency. You have the ability to choose a different path. And that can be really hard. We are not making light of how difficult that can be sometimes to choose a different thought process, but it comes down to choice. What are you going to do? Where are you going to put yourself? Who are you going to be around? Who are you going to laugh with? Who's going to put on the entrance music for you so that you can jump up and down and find some good energy? What are you going to do to change your trajectory? And it's up to your own agency, your ability to choose something different.
And if you're saying, yeah, that's great, Mark, that's great, Becky, but I've tried that and it didn't work. Here's the reality. It's going to take practice and it's going to take time. What I have noticed in my life, what I've noticed in Becky's life, what I've noticed in every single one of my clients, when we coach on this topic, it is, yes, you're still going to have bad days. You're still going to have the fire hose come out of a faucet. You're still going to have an accident on the way to work. You're still going to have something bad happen. The difference is the more that you practice these tools, the shorter amount of time that you go below the line and that it impacts the rest of your day. The idea is to speed up that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Becky and I have two different cadences when it comes to processing. And that's okay. And I think we'll talk about that probably in a couple episodes when we talk about relationship, but it's okay to have a different cadence. It doesn't mean that she's right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and she's wrong. It just means we have a different cadence, and we're just on a different place in how we are learning to respond and what we're choosing to focus on. So definitely focus on the things that you can control. That could be a whole nother deep dive. By the way, I've got great news for you. We're going to create a huge deep dive on mindset, as well as many other courses that we're building right now on excellence, mindset, care, and connection. We love these topics. We're passionate about it. And the reason why is we know it works. It's not theoretical. It's not just because I went and got my doctorate and I read these academic studies. It's because as practitioners, we've used them. Mm-hmm. And we've helped other people use them. So that's why we're so excited to share these things. Love this topic of mindset. So when you start having those putty thoughts and those trash thoughts, get rid of them, flush them, pick them out, find a way to move away from it, laugh about it, have great humor, connect with other people, talk it out, bring new energy, be willing to go below the line and then quickly go above the line for whatever period of time that is for you. But the idea is cycle it and start practicing it more and more, because the more you do, every aspect of your life, it's amazing what that will do to the voices that you hear with some of the negative self-talk. Mm-hmm. And we'll take a deep dive on our course on how to correct that.
Yes. So if you want more information on this, it's coming. We have a really great course that we will have available soon that will really give you a good deep dive on this. This is very high level, but we have so much more information that we can give you on good strategy for changing your mindset. And we can do more in-depth, all the cool books, there's so many good resources out there. So definitely be watching for that. And if you have questions, always reach out to us.
Ask us, ask away, reach out on Instagram, great place. We're on Instagram daily. So definitely shoot us a DM. We would love to help answer your questions. We hope that you heard your questions answered about mindset and some of the things that we have done to help get out of that death spiral. With that, go choose to have an amazing day. Bye.